Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your direct purchase and pricing email question line to buy this or any watch you see here on our channel or our website. Reach out to me directly at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing a 2019 launch that changed the game for Bell & Ross. This is the BR05, a timepiece that is frankly inspired by the legacy of Gerald Genta in the 1970s. It's an easy-to-wear 40 millimeters in stainless steel with a thickness of 11 millimeters, and if we want to measure two different ways, lug-to-lug 47.4 millimeters, end-link to end-link, which is the rigid flare across the wrist. It is exactly 50 millimeters laterally across the wrist. Throw it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. It is remarkably comfortable. The strap is pliant and soft. The case is minimalist and has nicely arced lugs, so though the watch is fairly broad for a 40 across the wrist, it arcs around the wrist. So you can see the curvature matches the downslope of the side of my arm, so that even if you're borderline to wear the watch, it's going to fit well. And I can recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. You can also see that it's nice and flat. It's about 1.5 millimeters thinner than a Daytona, so it will easily slide underneath the cuff. Let's take a quick look at the hardware and the software. They don't disappoint. The strap itself is extremely soft and pliant. It features strakes to add a little bit of visual definition. You can see in profile, bars and screws fix the strap to the case, so no spring bars here. Bell & Ross went the distance, giving you the upscale bar and screw setup that costs more than spring bars but also offers more security. Now the clasp is a fascinating piece because it gives you a lot. There's a external polish and satination, which is handsome and thoughtfully detailed, and then it's twin trigger release rather than friction, so you need to press both triggers to pop it open. It can't open accidentally. And then there's a minderless system, so the strap actually feeds into the underside of the clasp, and once it's sized, there's no excess length visible and there are no minder loops visible on the strap, so it's a very clean aesthetic. Omega and Tag Heuer do a similar thing, but here on Bell & Ross's watch, which retails for under $5,000, you have to like the quality for the price. Now you'll also note that there's an integration of the flow as well as the thickness of the strap. In profile as well as from head on, there's an integrated look that matches the aesthetic of the same watch on its integrated bracelet. So that's a happy aesthetic arrangement for those who like the integration look but perhaps prefer the comfort of a strap. Now in profile, it's a different look as it's vertically satinated rather than the more common longitudinal. There are a few strong character lines, such as the junction of the bezel and the mid case, and then you can see the junction of the lugs, which are integrated with the case profile. Satin on the top of the lugs as well as the small portion of the upper case that peeks out from under the bezel. You can see there's a gentle step back from the bevel of the case edge to the bezel itself, and that further articulates the look to break up the mass of metal and add elegance. In profile, you can see both crown guards protecting the crown from shear. They are actually fixed with screws, so if they're damaged, they can be removed. Screw down crown, 100-meter water resistance, and then on the top, taking a few pages from the book of Genta and few from Bell & Ross's own playbook, you could see the assembly very much like the old instrument watches, and the bolts on the top aligned with polished bevels to the bezel and satination that runs top to bottom. Again, it's a sort of fusion of the Royal Oak Nautilus look and Bell & Ross's own instrument watch aesthetic that it's been cultivating since 2005. Now this dial might be the most interesting of the three available. Technically there's four because one is a skeleton, but the silver speaks to the upscale ambiance of this watch compared to a standard Bell & Ross. It's a lovely monotone aesthetic that blends well with the case, the hands, and the applique. And I should mention the appliques. They are, in contrast to the standard printed dials of Bell & Ross watches. So you have the tri-Arabics applied to the dial and the indices themselves. If you look closely, you can see there's satin finished inner bezel to give the dial a little bit of perceived depth, and then a polished aperture around the date. The watch, which features a Sellita SW300 doing business as the Bell & Ross BR321, it includes a stop seconds function, so I have my hacking seconds right here. Now I can adjust and synchronize to a reference time, and there is also a quick set for the date, so you can rapidly cycle should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. Again, 100 meters water resistant, screw down crown, impressive case construction. The case, I should say, is made by G&F Chatelain, which is one of the finest case makers in all of Switzerland and a part of the Chanel family of companies, of which Bell & Ross is one. The movement has been highly customized with a nickel anthracite coating. Specifications are a 40 to 42 hour power reserve, bidirectional automatic winding, 28,800 vibration per hour beat rate, 25 joules, and of course the stop seconds and the quick set date. It also features a higher quality balance and hairspring assembly than I expected, and it's either the top, and most likely, or chronometer spec, as those splayed spoke balances are only used on the top two grades of ETA and Sellita movements. So mechanically, it's a bit more exceptional than I expected. A handsome watch that wears well and could be a ton of fun for the owner of a Nautilus or a Royal Oak who needs something he can use as his daily driver for hazardous assignments. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And I'm back with the impressively loomed Bell & Ross BR05.